3. Oh, do you want me to do the intro, or you want to do it?
No, you do it. Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Churros
Are you gonna need
Tácticas
another
Podcast.
take?
No, that's a take. You only get one take. You only get one shot at this.
No, not if your name's Kiyan Sobhani and you're running the pod.
Today it's one shot. Well, truth be told, I had no idea I was doing the intro until late Sunday night. I mean, I had an idea that I might do the intro because Real Madrid won 4-1, but I didn't know that Barcelona weren't going to win by maybe more goals than that, or something else would have happened in between. I don't know. I was I had a hunch, but I didn't know. That's because I didn't watch Barcelona play till Sunday night, and I somehow stayed away from the score. And I just watched it.
I mean, did you really stay away from the score?
100% I did, yeah. And I did that with a couple games this weekend because I was so busy. But so I saved that one for last, and I honestly was shocked at the result by the end of it. So we can talk about that. So that's why I'm doing the intro. I think there are other reasons why I can also do the intro, but those are the main
What other reasons?
I don't know. I just there's like constant like things like with Setien, Messi, and Koeman's response to Setien, and then Joaquin also had some words about Koeman this week. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did.
He doesn't seem to be the only ex-player that did not like Koeman.
Well, if you're a Valencia player at the time, yeah.
I think there was a couple of people at Ajax too who were, or Dutchies that were vocal, but I can't remember now. I may be making that up, but I feel like there were more.
I feel like you're making it up.
Maybe, but I'm pretty sure there was at least one other human being who was upset with him. So that's where we are. So an eventful weekend in La Liga with Barca dropping points, with Real Madrid winning, and some great games this weekend too. Like Valencia Getafe was absolutely wild.
Yeah.
Real Sociedad just look awesome again, and so things are happening. So Atletico won again. They look great. They're undefeated this season. We have Champions League coming up. So there's a lot. So where do you want to start, Diego?
I mean, let's start with the league leaders, I guess. Real Sociedad, I think it's been long overdue that we needed to discuss them a little bit on the pod. And I came good with my promise to, re-engage myself into La Liga. And I'm happy I did so on match day 8 to really take the time to... and also not just make the time, but ask for the time from my family. I don't know how it works in your household, Kiyan, but I need to ask for permission to watch multiple games because my wife, she still has a problem understanding that this is, part of what we do and we take it very serious. And it's not just that; it's obviously also spending time with the kids. So anyway, time
I do a lot of
management
tape
is
delay.
Of the essence.
You
do a lot of tape. Yeah,
tape delay.
That's good.
Like after hours, like watching things when everyone goes to bed.
Yeah. And so I watched Real Sociedad take apart Celta, and I say take apart because that's really what happened. I felt that this match was pretty much over in the first half already, with, like you said, a magical David Silva, who made me kind of wonder whether this team is actually better off this season as opposed to last season. I wondered your opinion as well, whether David Silva was a step up and an improvement of your boy Odegaard, and whether this team is actually improved over time or compared to last season. Because I mean, you have to recognize that Celta's the defense was just poor. I mean, it was embarrassingly poor. Celta is going to have massive problems, I think, to even stay up this season if they're going to continue like this. But not to take anything away from Real Sociedad, who I think were great on the day. Also, good to see Juan and Jose for them get on the score sheet with some pretty easy tap-in goals. I mean, the hard work was done by Oyarzabal, I think it was, who assisted him.
On that one, yeah.
And Porto as well, exactly. But, all in all, I mean, they just look like a team that is giving off very good, very positive sensations. And like I said, the question I wanted to ask you, Kiyan, if David Silva or this team, not just focusing on the two players that are Odegaard and Silva, but if actually this team is an improvement over last season.
I don't know if the answer to that can be told yet. I don't know. But I will say this. I think that a lot of credit should go to Alguacil, and I think this is a testament to him because
for sure
you replace Odegaard with David Silva, who like even at his age, obviously like that's not a knock on anybody. David Silva is still an amazing footballer even at his age. So it's not because you and I talked about this. It's not like necessarily going to drop. You're going to get a drop in quality. You also actually gain composure. You gain experience. You gain a lot of insight. A locker room presence, you gain a lot. So I don't know what the trade-off is exactly, but I do think this is a testament to Alguacil. David Silva is a different type of player than Odegaard at the stage of his career. He's a little bit slower, but he reads the game well. His passing has been great this season. I mean, he scored a header in this one, which again, Celta did not defend like any of those goals. But I think it's a testament to Alguacil because these guys are playing at such a high level, and it's like I think it's starting to like really dawn on them like how good they are. I think you can kind of see them mentally scoring multiple goals a game. Offense looks great. Everyone's pitching in. Porto and Oyarzabal look great. I think the case for them being better could be that also the other players are better. Oyarzabal is still not at his peak yet, so he's getting better. And I think there's just a lot of fun pieces here to work with, and I think tactically Alguacil's been great. Yeah,
absolutely.
One of the things that you and I were just doing quick, like 30-second, like talking points before on air, and I was just revisiting the results from this weekend, and I mentioned that Valencia Getafe was wild because a lot happened like towards the end. But everything happened towards the end, basically.
Almost, yeah.
But I just wanted to say the main talking point from Valencia's standpoint is not that. It's what Peter Lim is doing to that team. I think on a night where, as a Valencia fan, you might want to get excited for certain things. Like, for example, the young 17-year-old Yunnus Musah, who scored a nice goal. Who has also been called up by the U.S. national team now, even though he's also played for England already. So I don't know what the protocol is there.
The under-19s.
Okay, yeah.
So if you're not called up for the L'Absoluta, so the big boys, you still had the chance to jump ship and change or play for the what do you call it? The national team, like the top national team.
Did you know he's apparently eligible for 4 countries? I read this today.
What?
It's England, US, Italy, and Ghana.
Oh, okay.
Pretty incredible stuff.
That is.
So on a night where those could be cool talking points, and also the fact that they rallied with 10 men.
Yeah. We got
Peter Lim. Peter Lim calls Atletico and was like, "Hey, do you want to replace Thomas Partey with one of our best players?" I don't know what to make sense of it. How to make sense of it.
This was of course a frustrated transfer that never happened. I mean, that should have materialized in what was it, early mid-October, before Kondogbia actually became vocal about it on social media and displaying his dismay at the lack of flexibility. I mean, this was a done deal pretty much that didn't materialize at the very last minute because of, as they so famously call here in Spain, flecos, like little details. Somebody didn't cross or dot the I's and cross the T's. When Kondogbia had already pretty much packed his bags and was heading over to the nation's capital. So what I sense, though, is that the Valencia fans themselves don't blame Kondogbia for this. And I'm not, of course, a Che fan. I'm not the right person to speak on behalf of Valencia fans, but I do feel that there's more an understanding for Kondogbia's case and less of a hate as opposed to Valencia, the club itself. We saw the tweets today as well from the club, kind of just, they were very cold. It basically just said, adios, Kondogbia, goodbye, Kondogbia. Whereas Kondogbia himself had more of a heartfelt message towards the fans, talking about his time at the club and Marcelino just popped in my head. The firing of Marcelino back in those days, he was very vocal about that. So, but listen, I mean, if you're Atletico, you've been waiting for this of course to happen. I think Diego Simeone has been, like you said, looking for a replacement for Thomas Partey, who moved to the Premier League, and Kondogbia I think is a good fit. I mean, will he fill the shoes that Thomas left? I don't think so. I think Kondogbia, we kind of miss his consistency. There's the games that he looks like an absolute crack, that, reminds you of the player that he was back in Sevilla when they won the Europa League. And that, with me, it's more of a consistency thing with him. You're just not really entirely sure what you're going to get from Kondogbia on a weekly basis.
That may be true. I think with Atletico, I think they obviously did the right thing. It's a no-brainer to pick up this option. I know there was obviously a fee of about 15 or 16 million, which I think is well worth it to them to get some Partey insurance. I think it's very possible that Partey, like many other people in that Valencia locker room, were basically at a point where it's like, well, this is just not fun. We need a change of scenery. I think, and with Kondogbia, I think your point is valid. I remember watching Valencia over the last couple of years, and even though when you look at him and Parejo together, that should be one of the best central midfield partnerships in Spain, and it wasn't. And there were days where it was, and days where it wasn't. Yeah. Some of that can be down to tactics. Some of that can be down to the pieces around them. I will say though, he is a really good two-way presence when he's on. Like he's amazing when it comes to pressing. He fights. He reads the game well. I think he works well with a more attacking-minded central midfielder beside him, or a more creative force beside him. But he can also be a line-breaking presence. He can be a good ball carrier. I think with Atletico, I imagine it'll work out well. I did see some people question, like, well, if they got Torreira, why do they want Kondogbia now? Well, because Simeone is on a quest to field 11 central midfielders if he can. That's part of it. But also because he goes through so many that he could use the depth of that position, even though he has so many of those players. And he can kind of shift things around a little bit. And I think it's a good insurance to have, because Torreira's been kind of hit or miss. And I don't know if he can play that anchor role as well as somebody like Kondogbia. So I think it makes sense for them. And I think it's crazy for Valencia, because the big picture thing for them is really is a team that should be, on paper, competing for a top 4 place every season.
Yeah.
They just, if you look at the names they give away on paper, I mean, it's quite crazy. Like, they're just gifting players at this point. So not well run, and it's unfortunate that somebody can actually have that power to just walk in, buy a club, and then just ruin it, basically.
I agree, and I fear for Javier Gracia's side as well, because in particular for him, losing a player like Kondogbia means losing so much possession of the ball as well. I was looking at the stats after the match, and I mean, Getafe just dominated Valencia when it came to possession, which is odd to see from a side that usually, is a side that maybe is not synonymous to possession-based football, but certainly enjoys having the ball at their feet. When the days of Parejo, for example, was playing on that team, and seeing a side like Getafe, mainly in the second half, of course, that's where they were really kind of playing more gung-ho football. But seeing Getafe own the ball so much was a little bit awkward, and not something that we see regularly from a side that is so focused on solidifying their defense and happy to give the ball away or give possession away, and have the other team possess the ball and hit the teams on the counterattack. So I don't know where this team is going to go from here, to be honest. It can go either way. It can either, I think, be disastrous or be surprisingly all right. By that I mean, I think Champions League is pretty much out of the question for Valencia.
Oh, that's long gone, yeah.
That's long gone, but they still have interesting players. I mean, you look at the likes of Maxi, of course, who's still, you're kind of internally waiting for him to start banging in goals more consistently. But they've got Canning Lee, Sherichev, who on a night can give you some brilliant football. Yunnus Musah, the young American, Englishman, Italian, Ghanaian, who is an explosive talent. And it kind of makes you wonder, if he does play for the U.S. I mean, the U.S. is building an interesting team, man. There's such young talents that are coming up in the ranks there. So I mean, the Americans must be excited with the prospect of their team that they're building over there. But they still have Carlos Soler, Gaya, and Paulista, of course, and on the bench they've got interesting players too, Gameiro, Guedes. So it's a team with names that are very talented football players. But the big question is, how badly is this team affected by where the board is steering them and the disarray that the club is currently experiencing. And I think, that, again, and we've reiterated this so many times on the podcast, is the big sadness when it comes to a club like Valencia that is just, written in problems, financial problems with the stadium and again, the board, etc., and the big division that currently exists between fans, dressing room, and the directors there, the executives. So you wonder where it's going to go, but the talent is there to at least salvage, I think, a season that otherwise is looking pretty bleak at the moment.
I now understand why you chose this weekend as the weekend to dive deep into Spanish football, is because we're 16 minutes into this podcast and we just completely avoided Barcelona and what happened against Alaves. So,
hey, we can continue talking about Sevilla. Let's talk about Sevilla's crisis. Nobody seems to be talking about Sevilla. They're in big crisis.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Okay, this is a team that was supposed to be competing for the league title, and they are actually below the likes of Barca, even though Barca still has a couple of games in hand. So I'm more wondering what's going on. I would be more worried if I was a Sevilla fan as opposed to a culé, because what's happening with Sevilla is uncharacteristic. Really. Of course, anybody can drop points at the San Mamés. Having said that, what is that now, Kiyan? I mean, ever since the draw against Barca, the 1-1, they've suffered through a string of, I think, 3 defeats. And now only, if I'm not mistaken, 2 points clear of the relegation zone. So, before we get into talking about the quote-unquote crisis at Barca, let's acknowledge the crisis at Sevilla, because, again, I'm not reading anything about it or hearing anybody talking about that.
Well, I did not get a chance to watch their game against Athletic this weekend, so I can't speak to it. I didn't even get a chance to watch highlights on that, actually. But I will say, just watching their earlier games, one against Granada, one against Eibar, off the top of my head, the one against Eibar especially, they just had some bad luck. And I think attacking-wise, they've been good. They're just getting in these amazing goal-scoring positions and not scoring. Like Lucas Ocampos had literally a bunny in the 6-yard box in the 92nd minute against Eibar and didn't score it. And Nesiri had an amazing chance. Munir has had chances in these games. Against Granada, Granada, they weren't as good. But again, Jean Jordan missed an amazing chance just at the top of the 6-yard box. I think some of that stuff...
It was nothing like that in this game. I can just tell you. Okay. I mean, Athletic Club deserved they outshot the team. I don't know how much, but yeah, it was a different ballgame.
Okay. So I think some of this stuff will probably normalize with them. I think they'll start converting those chances. From an attacking standpoint, again, like you said, the Athletic game may have been different. But from the previous games I've seen, they haven't been that bad. They just had some bad luck. So I think they'll probably climb their way up the standings as well.
Of course. I mean, you would expect so. But at the moment, just two points clear above the relegation zone is troublesome for any team, really, and let alone a team the likes of Sevilla, who, again, many of us pitch to be, if not competing for the league title, because it's more often than not just a 2-horse race, at least be in the Champions League zone. And at the moment, it's going surprisingly bad. Having said that, Barca's next opponent, Betis, is the flip side of that, right? And I mean, Betis with a very convincing win against an Elche side that was pretty much out of the equation from the beginning. And I wonder, and we can transition into talking about Barca if you want, because I'm quite worried looking ahead for match day 9, which sees Betis visit the Camp Nou. Because if we're gonna see this Betis side under Pellegrini that is fast paced, that look confident and convinced of their football, then Barca could have a very tough night. It was a great match for the Sevilla side, which where Tello scored 2 goals, providing or Sanabria also providing an assist. Joaquin on the night didn't have much of an impact, but is always a constant threat and somebody to keep in mind, of course, on the right flank. So, this match, what did it finish? 3-1. This match could have easily finished, 5-6-1. Betis just had a plethora of chances, ones that probably normally will go in as well. They hit the post several times. Fekir also missing a penalty. So this Betis is looking just like a very serious side and one that will be a tough nut to crack for Barca.
I'm skeptical. I think they may very well put up a fight against Barca, and I don't know, but I'm skeptical. I think the other thing we didn't mention with Sevilla is they have to win those games that they need to win, like against mid-table opponents, right? Because they went to Barcelona and they could only score 1 goal, and like Fernando missed a huge shot at the 6-yard box. They only drew that game. So those games against those opponents, they have to beat those mid-table teams. All right,
we're talking about Sevilla or Betis now. you went back to Sevilla.
No, they're just poking fun.
All over the place.
I was just poking fun at the mid-table team that is Barcelona. I just needed a transition to get back to them. Right. Barca has only played 6 games, so they have 2 games in hand total, and they lie in 12th. Is it 12th place? They have looked great. They have looked okay, and they've looked bad all in one season. That seems to be about right for any team. They have their good days, they have their bad days. I think you're less worried about them than maybe some others are. I'd be curious to know what you thought of their Alaves performance.
On a normal day, in a normal season, that match would have finished with, what was it, 27 shots on goal, something like that, 25 shots on goal. Let me be generous here. Maybe I'll give Alaves 2, I'll give Barca 4, maybe 4-2 for Barca. I think on a normal day, Barca would have won. They deserved to win. It was a one-sided affair. Was it the most convincing one-sided affair? Absolutely not. Did it highlight some of the big problems that this side still has? Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. And one of those big problems is efficiency in front of goal. I think, the chances are being created by Barca. They're not going in. People love to talk about Messi and the insignificance of Messi this season. And I use that word not very lightly, but, in the press, I'm reading how Messi is being, quote unquote, insignificant so far this season. That couldn't be further from the truth. If anything is the opposite, Messi is still showing just how important he is for this team, because attacks start and finish with him. I know that you like your stats, so I don't know if you have anything ready, cocked and loaded that you can fire at us. But when it comes to key passes, when it comes to dribbles, when it comes to efficiency in his passing as well, Messi is still up there in a league of his own. He's not being effective in front of goal. That is a fact. That is the truth. Normally, shots that we are used to seeing hit the back of the net at the moment are not hitting the back of the net. I have no doubt that at some point they will, and when they will, they'll open the floodgates to, Messi finishing the season with 20 plus goals. I'm not really worried about that. Some people say that leagues are won in the first half of the season. And if you go back and look into time, I think there is truth in that. You build up a cushion in that first half of the season that allows you to face the second half of the season with a little bit more, I guess, confidence, and also other teams, whether it's intimidation or whether it's, just a psychological perspective or aspect rather. It allows you to face that second half of the season with a lot more confidence and optimism. that I guess is what worries me the most. The fact that Barca is dropping back so far down the table now in 12th, as you mentioned, with 2 games in hand. But with, 8-9 points clear, with the likes of Real Madrid and Real Sociedad, I think come Christmas time, if things don't turn around quickly, because, these chances do need to be converted, you have to basically just face the reality and discount Barca into the title race. And I think being realistic and seeing how affairs have gone, the way they finished last season, the way the summer has gone, the constant turmoil that Fútbol Club Barcelona is in, it'd be unrealistic really to expect that to have this side compete for the league. Because of everything that has been taking place. So I would be happy seeing this team compete, reaching the top 4, going deep into the Copa del Rey as well as the Champions League. And as long, like I said at the beginning of the season, Kiyan, when we hit the record button in the very first game, match day 1 of this 2020-21 league season, I want to see this side compete, and currently that is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this side compete, and that allows me to be optimistic, not so much maybe for this season, but in the rebuilding process that this team is in, moving over to the next season.
Well, you asked for some Messi numbers. I have a few Messi numbers. But quickly maybe just say some numbers for the game itself. You mentioned maybe 4-2 would have been a good score. The XG lies basically 2-1 in Barca's favor. And Alaves's is really skewed their XG because their one goal came literally on the line. It was like Luis Rioja could walk that into the net because of Neto's mistake. And so that in itself was one goal right there on the XG chart.
Right.
But Messi's numbers, his key passes per game are, I think, the second lowest in his league career ever. Shots per game are the lowest they've been since 2009, which I think was his breakout season. So listen, we're only 6 games into the league season, and even those numbers being career worst numbers are still better than the average footballer. And even that version of Messi is still an effective version of Messi. We don't have to explain that. Are there signs of slowing down? I think so, because I think one of the things is the biggest number of all, which I didn't mention but you alluded to, is the lack of goals currently. Again, currently as in he's probably going to bounce back and he'll score a bunch of goals. But he scored how many goals this season? I think it's 2, right? 2 in the Champions League, and then none in the league. So that's been a problem, and that's part of the reason why Barca aren't scoring, because they had 1 million shots against Alaves, and maybe they're not falling to the right people. One of them fell to Fati, one of the big chances that I think Fati could have done better.
Yeah.
But then some of the other ones, Alaves were throwing 1 million bodies in the way, and I think, maybe those aren't always going to go in. But one of the things that struck me about not only Messi, but also Barca as a whole here, was that I can see that things are slowing down for certain players. Alba, to me, is just shockingly giving away certain things. He's having trouble when he's being pressed. Busquets is misplacing passes that he wouldn't have misplaced a few years ago. And when he's out of position, Barca don't look like they're in a position that they can cover for him, and then they're vulnerable in transition. Messi's performance, I thought towards the end of the game he played a little bit better, but
this team right now we're seeing a team that improves in the drastically improves in the second half. That's really where Barca came to life, and I feel that with this, the difference maker for me was Pjanic. Bringing in Pjanic,
he was good.
Taking off Busquets, I think also allowed Messi to drop less deep and be more effective offensively, even though it obviously didn't convert on the night. So that's why, I talk about Messi having, maybe not a good game, but still, when I read articles where they talk about the insignificance of Messi, I feel that it's it's an unfortunate choice of wording, because we still see just how important he is for this team.
Yeah, because they're comparing him to Messi the alien, which is a little bit unfair in a sense, because they want Messi to be like Hercules. Which
but you see Messi trying. I mean, you see him trying to get the motor going, to get things started. If we would see, which we have seen, a Messi that is apagado, right? A Messi that is basically shut down. His body language is not the one. His body language radiates a frustration. He's looking at the floor. We all seen this kind of Messi trot around the pitch, and against Alaves we didn't see that kind of Messi. I guess that is maybe more what I'm alluding to. It's a Messi that at least is trying and is willing to fight.
Pacheco also had an awesome save on him.
Oh man, Pacheco looked like Iker Casillas in his heyday. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know this. I'm sure if I know this, you know it because you work for Barcelona and I don't. But Dinamo Kiev are traveling to Barcelona with 13 players because there's actually a slight chance that game actually may be postponed, right? Do you have any further updates on that?
Not at the moment. We're just kind of awaiting the PCR results because, like you said, it could be postponed. I don't know. This is just insane. This is crazy. With 24 hours away of this match, it almost becomes a normality at this point that this is just part of our lives now. It's just pretty crazy, man. I don't know what to make of it. It's not good. It's just, it's when are we gonna find out? I guess tomorrow on the game day itself, because at the moment, like the status is we're waiting the results. So I'm assuming they're not gonna come in this evening, and we'll have to see tomorrow if the game will actually take place.
Yeah, strange times. All right, do you want to talk
Let's talk about some good stuff. Let's talk about Hazard. And his brilliant golazo. Que golazo.
It was beautiful.
Coño.
Just like the way he turned, the way he hit it with the left foot. I thought it was actually in a way more impressive on replay because like the way he hit it with his left foot, it was just such a laser. Like the trajectory of it was just like, it was pretty incredible because it just kind of swerved away to the far post, but he hit it with such venom that the keeper had no chance. We need more of those brilliant plays because right now we just need more things to transcend our tactics and for things to open up a bit. And we need moments like that to open up a game because after that goal, everything changed for Real Madrid. Because up until that point, they weren't playing well. And then after that goal, Huesca just basically just the cliche of opening up because you're chasing a goal. A lot of the time that doesn't actually happen. I sometimes think we overrate that, but in this case, Huesca actually really opened up, and we're chasing the goal, and that opened things up for Real Madrid. So that was good.
His link up with Benzi was great.
Yeah, I mean, generally those two have a pretty decent chemistry going on. Yeah.
Do you think Benzema will be telling Mendy the same thing at halftime? Like you said, what about Vinicius? Or
for sure. Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, it's day and night. I wonder, if Hazard is able to keep this form, how much we're going to see Vinicius, have protagonism this season, or Rodrigo Goes for that matter. Because I mean, the way that the chemistry between those two is visibly, more in tune and more of a sound chemistry than Vinicius and Benzema have.
Well, I think Vinicius and Benzema have a pretty good chemistry too, despite what that whole halftime thing. But I think Hazard is just obviously the better player, right?
Yeah.
But I think whether he will play less, of course he'll play less if Hazard is healthy and playing the way we want him to play. But I think Vinicius will still play a lot. I think he's going to be effective off the bench. And, 5 subs. Hazard is still not 100% healthy. I mean, they can tell us he's healthy. But, I mean, just in the sense of you can't play him every second. And you're probably going to, quote-unquote, load manage him a little bit, rotate him, take him off. Maybe he's not going to play every 90 minutes or so. So I think there's plenty of minutes to go around for Vinny. Very pivotal is tonight, a game against Inter.
Massive.
Which I made the point that, like, this was, in my mind anyway, I'm sure people felt differently, but a lot of people I talked to looked at it this way too. These 2 games against Inter were kind of supposed to be like the routine, group stage test against a big opponent. That it doesn't define the season. You just learn stuff from it. It's good to see how you stack up against another good team. Maybe learn some tactical wrinkles. Maybe you face them later on in the competition. Who knows? It's kind of supposed to be like this just more fun, lighthearted analysis of two games. Now it turns out that these two teams have really dropped the ball in the first two games, and it becomes really important. And now, from a neutral perspective, this is a dream because these two teams are really good and they have to win. Sucks for Inter is that Lukaku is out and he makes such a big difference for them. But for that reason, because I think so highly of Lukaku, I think that really, really benefits Real Madrid. But this is going to be really interesting, I think.
What are you expecting? I mean, Inter is, of course, going through their trials and tribulations this season. Real Madrid in the Champions League so far has not been the team, I guess, that all Madridistas would have hoped for. Where do you see this one get decided?
Conte said today that, something to the effect. Well, hold on. This is one of those quotes really worth not paraphrasing. So I'll try to bring it up. But there's been a lot of discussion on Inter and defense, and it's Antonio Conte. So what I wrote in my column yesterday was that when you think of Antonio Conte, you think of airtight defense and a very defensive-minded tactics. But they actually, just watching them this season for the purpose of just kind of getting a scouting report, they also are very vulnerable defensively. They can switch off marking people in the box. They let Zlatan do anything he wanted to in the Milan derby against Mönchengladbach. There were times where they were vulnerable just with a few passes here and there. So I don't know if we're going to see necessarily a very defensive-minded Inter. I think they should be defensive-minded because that's what hurts Real Madrid the most. But I don't know if they will. And they played a very high line against AC Milan. So the quote from Conte yesterday, was, "We didn't come here to stay in a corner like a boxer taking punches and hoping to maybe throw just one to knock out his rival. We want to face them with the right attention and staying humble, but without any reverential fear." And a lot of people interpret that as they're going to come out attacking. I didn't interpret it that way. I thought it just meant that they can still play defensive but without fear. I don't know what that means. I do know that because you guys played them twice last season in the Champions League, obviously in the group stages, and one of my takeaways from them playing against you was that they were defensive-minded, but their biggest issue was that their counterattack against you was good up until that last moment where Lautaro or somebody would miss a chance. And Lautaro's not playing well yet this year. So I think for them to find success, what they need to do is to stay compact, absorb punches, contrary to what Conte said, and then knock out, and then do their knockout punch. I think is their best blueprint here. That's what they should do.
But Lautaro is match fit, though, isn't he?
Yeah,
Lukaku's out.
Yeah, Lautaro's there. Lukaku is not.
And Alexis Sanchez, of course, he'll be playing. I'm assuming.
I don't know if he starts.
No, I don't think he'll start. I'm just saying he's available.
Yeah, I don't know how scared I am of him.
Look, it's a washed-up Sanchez. I don't think that he is the major threat there. I mean, the fact that, of course, Lukaku, if I'm not mistaken, is still their top goal scorer. With him being out, like I said, Inter have been far from impressive so far this season. Did they draw 0-0 against Shakhtar? Was it? I mean, it's a strange group that you guys are in.
Very strange.
Given the pretty emphatic or convincing win, let's put it that way, for Real Madrid over the weekend, you gotta fancy your chances against Inter. I think you're being very, very cautious here, which I guess I'm assuming is because of the fact that Real Madrid have stumbled in the Champions League so far. But this Inter is not a side that I think Madridistas would normally be fearing at this moment.
I actually do like our chances at this game. I am cautious, but I do like our chances for various reasons. But one is because I think with the urgency, and I think with Inter's urgency, obviously they want to win these games. They can't necessarily draw. But I do like our chances. It's not a sure thing, but I do like our chances. And again, I think Lukaku missing is huge for us. So
I forget who it was. I think might have been Fede Valverde, but I read some quotes saying that for Real Madrid, I mean, they're going to approach this as a final, as they should, of course, because another loss, another draw, and I don't have it in front of me, Kiyan. I don't know if you do, but where would that leave Real Madrid in the case that they do lose or draw?
Well, I guess we'd have to wait for Mr. Chip to put out the statistic and tell us what the percentage is, because he did that after Casemiro scored. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, which you said that basically things at the moment are looking good for Real, right?
20%, according to that math. Yeah, 20% chances of it progressing. If they lose, well, that puts Inter. I mean, again, we don't know what happens in the other game, so that would. I don't know. I'm overthinking it. It basically just means that Real Madrid are in trouble. That's what it means, and to leave it basically those two last games that you must win, and then even if you win those two games, you'd have 7 points total in the group. Is that enough to progress? I don't know. I guess it depends on how everything else unfolds. We've seen teams progress with 7 points. We've seen teams not progress with 7 points. It's a really tough place to put yourself in. So a loss would be really disastrous. I think a draw, it's like, well, that's also semi-disastrous, but there's a little bit of a light, because then you also take 2 points off of Inter as well. The biggest winner would just be Shakhtar, really, in that situation. But yeah,
Ashraf coming back.
Ashraf homecoming.
Arturo Vidal, anti-Madridista.
That's an underrated storyline. He's looked good, by the way, from what I've seen of Inter this season. Arturo Vidal, we have him at least once a year, whether it's Juve, Bayern, Barca, and now Inter. He's always, and he always hates us. That's another story. I think Ashraf will be really, either way, that's a story, whatever happens tonight. He either plays really well or he doesn't, and there's going to be a narrative either way. I think he will really hope he's probably facing Marcelo and not Mendy. That's one thing that he'll probably hope for. I think we will hope it will be Mendy, not Marcelo. So those are certain things, yeah. But it's a big game. There's no sugarcoating. It's a big game. Where else do you want to go from here?
What else, my friend? Bueno, Atlético, coño. Tenemos que hablar un poco sobre el Atlético, ¿a que sí?
Okay.
Venga, va.
They deserve a segment.
Absolutely. I mean, what I loved two things from what I saw from Atletico. One, seeing Koke be Koke, the Koke that, you know, I grew to love, and the Koke that has that confidence, the Koke that is the captain of that team, really embracing that role as well. I thought he played an excellent game. I love the fact that we saw some Ronaldinho-like passing coming from as well, little no-look passes into the front line. And the second thing I loved is Joao Felix, man. You know, if not the captain of the team, the moral captain of this team. By that I mean the guy that steps up and takes the penalties, the guy that misses penalties and then still continues to fight for this team like there's no tomorrow. I thought that them two just together both had an awesome game. With a Koke like that, you wonder if there's, if he shouldn't be a regular starter for the Spain team as well when he plays like that. And again, the youngster, I think in the case of Joao Felix, he's showing more consistency as well, more confidence this season as opposed to last season. Clear reference as well up front when it comes to that team. They're looking for him all the time. And also, like I said, I mean, just doesn't shy away from taking on the responsibility that you expect from, a veteran, let alone, okay, maybe not a newbie anymore, but his second season in now. And he's becoming that guy for Atletico de Madrid. So a very convincing performance. They continue to fight with tooth and nail for every single goal. They're banging them in more, I think, this season as well. It's hit or miss with this team. Next weekend we might see another, inspireless. Can I say that? Is that a word? Inspireless draw?
Uninspired.
Uninspired. Thank you very much. Uninspired 0-0 or 1-0 victory or 0-0 draw. But at least I think this team is is serious, is a serious contender for La Liga, and hopefully also able to go deep in the Champions League. We will see, but this is what we want to see from this Atletico side. So yeah, just happy with what I saw from them.
Well, people,
mind you, sorry, one more stat
Mm-hmm.
I think that I want to put out there, which might go unnoticed. Right now, with the game in hand, assuming that they would win, they would be co-leader with Real Sociedad. So, things are going well.
And have actually, like you mentioned, have looked good in the process. That's not something we always say. I don't think they've looked good the whole way through, but that's irrelevant. This is not. They don't need to look good all the way through, and nor I think do they care to look good all the way through. They're getting results, and in certain games they're actually really fun to watch. And I would say there are 3 to 4 players that I actually genuinely get excited playing football at this point. You mentioned Koke. That's obviously, that comes and goes with him, but
yeah, I know you're not a fan.
It's not that I'm not a fan. I just get frustrated with him because I just know he's better most of the time, and he just doesn't play like it. But João Felix looks a little bit more comfortable every passing game, and his touches are so like just aesthetically pleasing to watch. Mm-hmm. And Angel Correa has been great. Just
Correa, man.
Doing Correa things.
He could have got a couple of big chances, yeah.
But he's always involved, and like that's all I care about with him. And Marcos Llorente has just been really unbelievable. And Luis Suarez looks good too. And I'd throw Luis Suarez in the mix of just like he gives the team something, whether it's mental, and in a lot of games more with his goal scoring and other play. So
for sure,
yeah, I do think there are a couple of players too that need to be a little bit better. Trippier has not been great so far.
True. That's fair.
Those are just minor things, I think. And when we talk about like their depth, there's no reason this team shouldn't be able to be there in the springtime.
Right?
There's no reason. They're so deep. They're so deep in the attacking positions. Not necessarily in the striker positions, but now they're versatile enough that, beyond Suarez and Costa, they can also put Marcos Llorente there. They can put Carrasco there in a different role, not as a pure 9 role, but João Felix can play just behind the striker. And they have so many midfielders now, especially with the addition of Kondogbia and Torreira. And they have a bunch of defenders. They have wing backs. There's no excuse. I think this team should be there in the springtime.
Yeah, no, for sure. Torreira as well with a really good goal. And like you said, I mean, I was hesitant to, in my little monologue there, to put them as title contenders. But at the same time, I mean, if we're not going to put Atletico as title contenders, then what are we going to put them as? Because they're clearly a Champions League team. And with the depth, with the talent they have on the squad, the years that they have been building, putting the pieces together, they have to be a title contender. If not this season, if they're not going to be it this season, they're not going to be it any season. This is the season where the likes of Real Sociedad, Atletico de Madrid, dare I say Sevilla, despite their massive problems at the moment, those are the teams that would be, licking their chops at the moment, looking at the inconsistency of the big two, the frailness, of the big two as well, and snatch this opportunity, grab it by the neck and not let go. I think Atletico is doing that. I think, we're seeing that Real Sociedad are doing that. We have to wait and see if Sevilla are going to be able to do that as well. The last thing I want to mention, Kiyan, or I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of you, but we got to talk, of course, about a historic Cádiz side, not just for the fact that they managed to pick up 3 points at a place where very little teams are able to pick up points, let alone 3 in Ipurúa against Eibar. But it's historic now. I mean, they have officially commenced or had the best start to the season, to any season they've ever played in the Primera División. All victories coming away from, or with 4 victories coming away from home. So the 4 outings that they have had, they've picked up 3 points and not received any goal. So pretty impressive stuff. From the Spanish top flight newbie. And if I'm not mistaken, this record equals a record that had been set by Real Madrid 60 years ago. So
which record?
The I guess the or set or broken the record for the away wins and not receiving any goals at the moment. Yeah.
They've been great. I mean, and we might look at that Real Madrid performance at the Di Stefano and look and be really impressed with that, and we should be. But that wasn't an outlier either. Like their XGA is the fourth best in the league. They've only conceded 6 goals, and that's really impressive. So
all coming at home, yeah.
All coming at home. I mean, that part I didn't know until you pointed it out, which is interesting. Man, maybe that normalizes when the fans come back one day.
Yeah, right.
What's the situation in Spain right now? It's a little bit of unrest.
Because of Corona.
Yeah, some protests, right?
What do you mean? Yeah, the youth are hitting the streets. They're rebelling. They're protesting against the curfew that has been put into place. Depending on where you live, it's either 10 or 11 o'clock. It's lights out, or at least you're not allowed to be outside anymore. From 11 p.m., 10 p.m. until was it 6 a.m.? I think it was 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean there is unrest. I would like to think that it's the minority, as in it's mainly youths just going against this current curfew that is being put into place. The numbers are terrifying. The numbers sort of indicate that in all likelihood, and don't take me as an expert, I'm simply voicing my opinion, but if I'm looking at the numbers and listening to what the experts say, I wouldn't surprise me that if in, say, 2-3 weeks time from now, we will experience a full-on lockdown like the one that we saw back in March. If hopefully not for 3 months, but it's not looking good in Spain at the moment.
Yeah, this is a tough year. Hope everyone is safe. Hope everything.
I had to call the cops on some kids, Kiyan, over the weekend.
For what? For just
it was 5 a.m. and they were just blaring music outside of the building, just partying, drinking, doing whatnot, being allowed.
Are you in like a downtown district, or I know
no, we're in the outskirts. So I live outside of Barcelona center, just over the hill, or Tibidabo. I don't know if the listeners know Tibidabo. Just on the other side of basically the hill that surrounds Barcelona. And it was just late, man. I'm like, it woke me up. And I'm like, God damn it, if these kids are going to wake my kids up and I'm going to be awake at 5 a.m. already. Unlike you, Kiyan, that's not something that is normal in the Lorijn household. So I did something that I never thought I'd do, and that was call the cops on some kids and be like, these rascals, go get them. Quiet them down. And, I feel bad because that means that they would have been slapped with a heavy fine as well. I got to say, the police were quick to react. In less than 5 minutes, a car pulled up. The music was shut. Was turned down or shut off. And I don't know. I didn't stick around for the party to see what happened next, but it wouldn't have been good. So
you're justified. If the decision is between kids at 5 a.m. blasting music and their fun and their happiness, or my children sleeping, I choose my children sleeping every time. Because my children don't sleep, it's chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
Children need their sleep.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we're talking about this stuff, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Alrighty.
I have 3 hours or so before the Real Madrid game. Gives me time to put this podcast up. Maybe grab a bite to eat.
I'm happy that we did get this done, because I feared that you were going to tell me I can't do it, man. I got the Managing Madrid pods and this, that, and the other. So I'm happy that we got this one out.
No, man. With Churros, we always find a way. We'll find a way. Luckily, we had a whole window to do almost an hour today, so that was helpful. So we'll be back Friday to recap everything that happened in the Champions League and whatever happens off the field as well. And for access to that, that's patreon.com/Churros y Tácticas. And follow us on Twitter at Churros Tácticas without the Y. There's some great takes there. Yeah. Thanks, Diego. Have fun. Enjoy. Take care. Peace.
Ciao.